Raidieraksts Drošinātājs. We have two guests today, Marina Bludsha from Kyiv Cyclists Association. Hello, Marina.
Hi, hello.
And Lesya Loyko from NGO Forza in Uzhhorod. Hello, Lesya.
Hello.
There are different campaigns that seek support for Ukraine, for the military, civilians, internally displaced people, and many more. But you, both of you, represent a campaign named Bikes for Ukraine. For those who might be surprised to hear about bicycles during the time of war, Marina, could you explain why that matters?
Well, when we launched the campaign in the spring of 2022, it was our answer to requests for bicycles from pre-front cities of Ukraine. In that time, they needed the bicycles for better mobility because, for example, in Kharkiv in the spring 2022, people go for humanitarian aid for 15 kilometers because Kharkiv is a great city. And that's why we decided to organize and design it as a campaign. We joined with 5 NGOs in different cities of Ukraine. Forza is one of them. And the Kyiv Cyclists Association, where I'm working as communication person, U-Cycle, and 5 another NGOs, Forza, Ecocity, Ecocity is in English, Ecomista, and Velo Vector in Odessa, and also Sumo Extreme Style in Sumy. We joined our efforts to make it possible for those communities where it's a lack of public transport and a great demand for mobility.
But that was then in 2022. Has the demand changed?
First of all, the list of beneficiaries changed. When we started in 2022, we helped mostly to the volunteer humanitarian headquarters in different hromadas, not only in cities, but even in small towns or villages. But then the list of beneficiaries of the Bikes for Ukraine has changed. And now we helped with bikes, not only volunteers, but they remained in the list, but also to IDPs, also to children, and also to social workers and other critical services of municipalities. So I think this is the main change. But nowadays, the bicycle remains in Ukraine the reliable mobility option, and also for the delivery of humanitarian aid, but not only, and for the movement of personnel of critically important services in many Ukrainian communities near the front line and not only.
Lesya, your organization is from Uzhhorod. And if we look at the map, it's like the furthest you can go from Eastern front line is just, you tell me, a few kilometers from Slovakian border, right?
Yes, correct.
Yes. Why did you feel the need to join the campaign?
Before the war, we were very active in promoting sustainable mobility in Ukraine. And when we saw, being far from war, basically geographically, but seeing those horrible pictures where there is no public transport, the cars are destroyed by shellings and bombs, and oftentimes the bicycle remains the only way the people can move around, we saw that we need to do something about this. So we joined the campaign, and actually I may add to what Marina said, that our kind of missions or our inputs to the campaign are a bit different. So we saw our role as Forza in bringing the word about the campaign to our European partners, to those whom we call ambassadors, yes, to those who can donate bicycles. For us, it was to go to speak to people. We participated in various mobility events, and to show how important is a bicycle to Ukraine, to people who cannot move around their communities in other ways than cycling.
I imagine that being so far from the front line and being so close to European Union country, you have quite many internally displaced people. Is that correct? And if in that case, do you also help them out with bicycles and stuff like that?
That's a great question. And this was the point you mentioned. Who are the receivers, of these bikes was several times discussed within the campaign participants. And we definitely decided that our main is the towns, cities, villages that are close to the front line, those that were liberated and those that suffered from war most. Sure, we have a lot of people here in Uzhhorod and Zakarpattia, the region where I live, that moved, that are war escapers. Yes, they moved from the very east or south of our country here to west, and they receive support here from other sources. And for us, the main target geographically was the east and south of the country.
I read in the webpage of your campaign that so it is made to increase the mobility of Ukrainian volunteers, critically important communal services, medical staff, and make humanitarian help accessible. How successful have you been with this campaign so far?
If you see the landing page of Bikes for Ukraine campaign at the website of U-Cycle, you can see the map of Ukraine with the quantity of bikes which we delivered to different oblasts. We call it in Ukraine oblasts, but in English regions of Ukraine. And you can see that, for example, in Zakarpattia, we have sent only 5 bikes. Because, as Lesya said, the priority of campaign is the pre-front territories and the deoccupied villages and cities. And, for example, in Chernihiv Oblast, guided bikes is the most. The map of June the 1st, 2025. But now the quantity is even more. It's near 1,000 bikes, and the map, the quantity is less. And, for example, in Donetsk Oblast, Donetsk region, the quantity of delivered bikes is 2,111 bikes. The whole quantity of bikes provided is 3,100. This quantity is big or small? You may ask. We can compare it with the demand, because during the 3 years of campaign, we have received more than, as I know, more than 4,000, but no, I think nearly 5,000 of demand, of requests.
If there are more requests than you can deliver, how do you decide whom to give the bikes and who has to wait?
We received a lot of requests from not pre-front territories. So, as we said before, we range these requests by our main priority, to help to pre-front territories, to deoccupied territories, and sometimes, in the sake of easier logistics, the requests from how it would say, we have no safe regions in Ukraine during the war, but the requests from safe regions can take a higher priority because of simple logistics. For example, if the bikes which we from European Union, for example, at first went to Lviv and then to Kyiv. That's why sometimes, as you can see at the map, sometimes Western regions also can take these bikes, but as also maps illustrates, the greater amount of bikes went to the eastern Ukraine and the central, because Kyiv region was also partly occupied in the 2022.
Lesya, you already mentioned that you work with your European partners, and maybe you can tell me, where are the bikes coming from for this campaign?
Yes, maybe before answering to your question, let me shortly explain how the whole chain works. So a person like me, let's say like a story, a person like me meets people on events, bigger or smaller, and tells about the campaign. Another person who hears the stories and see that it's a great impact with relatively small input, decides that he or she wants to help this campaign in Ukraine, and then starts to collect bikes. On one hand, it sounds simple, but on the other hand, it's a lot of efforts. So the person who was inspired by Bikes for Ukraine connects or goes for an advertisement, other people who potentially can bring bikes and donate for Ukrainians. Then this person needs to find a place where to store the bikes until a certain amount is gathered. Next step, when let's say enough bikes, either it's 20 or 200 are gathered, we need to look for logistics. These bicycles needs to be transported to Ukraine, and this is not an easy task. I think it's even more difficult task than to gather the bikes. Then when the bikes come to Ukraine, they have to, cross the border with certain documents. They shall also be stored for certain time somewhere. And when they are stored, and even before, we are very thankful for those who repair the bikes, who make maintenance before sending them. But still, when they come to us, to certain place like Lviv or Kyiv, these bikes are again checked and repaired, because the end users oftentimes are simple people. You know, they don't have too much knowledge how to maintain a bike, just maybe some basic things. And then when the bikes are collected in certain warehouse in Ukraine, then we find ways to deliver, like last mile delivery to the end users. So this whole chain really needs a lot of efforts and a goodwill, because not always everything goes smoothly without starting the cars, especially it was the case at the beginning. Now going to your question, where and where from? We have more than 90 ambassadors, and basically the map where from we receive the bikes is covers, let's say, the whole European Union. We got bikes from DG Move from Brussels. We got bikes from Poland. We got bikes from Norway. We get bikes from Netherlands. We got a donation from a private person of €1,000 from Slovenia, and we bought 5 new bikes. So really, I don't want now to omit mentioning somebody who is equally important. And also, I shall say that we've got quite a big number of bikes from the campaign in Lithuania that was initiated by Ministry of Transport and Communication of Republic of Lithuania. And, you know, this goodwill to help is very much inspiring and supporting us in the days and times when, you know, the mood goes down because of the shellings and missiles, heavy nights. And then we see that somebody is contacting us, and it makes us, again, gives us forces to continue.
Right. But what bikes are you looking for?
So I may say that our campaign consists of let's say 3 parts. We collect new bikes. That's ideal situation, because those might last longer and are easy to use, don't need maintenance. We collect used bikes for adults and both for kids. And later I would like also to mention the point about the children bikes that are used, but preferably repaired and ready to be used. We have spare parts here in Ukraine. We can make small repairs, but you know, we don't want to get some scrap stuff that is not possible to use. So that's the second point. And also we look for accessories, spare parts, then, repair boxes. That's concerning bikes. But we also are thankful for donations. And to mention, we use the donations to cover the logistics needs. Sometimes we need to buy the fuel for the transportation. And also at the beginning, we have got for a long time the warehouses for free. But nowadays, no story can last ever. So we need to pay some small, very moderate and very fair amount, but for the warehouses, which also makes us sure that, the bikes are safe where they are stored.
And is there a minimum amount of bikes that is reasonable to send to you?
It depends on the distance. Farther is the distance, bigger amount is more economically smart to transfer because of fuel cost and also the use of these bigger cars. But we also had last week or 2 weeks ago, we had a delivery from a nearby Slovakia. You mentioned that Uzhhorod is on the border with Slovakia, which is very correct. So from the city of Košice, there was a delivery of approximately 25 bikes. But it was, 100 kilometers just like that to the border. So it was worth to go and pick up those bikes and then also deliver them further to Lviv. And further. So it depends. It's also, as I mentioned previously, a big effort is on finding the transportation. And in this, surely if we partner with, let's say, powerful organizations that support us in the various countries like ministry, or we also communicate it to embassies, then it's easier to find solutions. But also we shall mention that private initiatives works. It was very striking for me at the very beginning of war. Our friends, just friends from Norway, they collected 60 plus bikes. They took, and it was a family initiative, like a brother and a sister. And it was like May or June 2022. They took a car and drove all the way to Ukraine, to Uzhhorod, to bring those bikes. So there is no ready-made recipe. It's just, a goodwill and the wish to help.
Marina, if you can talk about those ambassadors, as you call them.
We ask for support from the beginning of Bikes for Ukraine campaign to cycling community organizations, international and European institutions, and municipalities of the cities. So among our ambassadors, all the list, because, for example, for last 2 years, we received bikes from Amsterdam, from the municipal store of used bikes abandoned at the streets, but they have volunteer initiative who tried to find the most operable bikes in this store and then sent them to Kyiv, to us. Among ambassadors also are private people who donated, but mostly we understood from the beginning that the logistics will be the main point, the main issue. That's why we ask for support to initiatives, organizations, and it's not about delivering 1 or 2 bikes. It's about the quantity.
Maybe you can share some powerful personal story that demonstrates how a bike provided by Bikes for Ukraine has really helped or changed somebody's life.
So Marina mentioned examples of using the bikes for their main purposes, yes, for volunteers, for those who stay in very harsh conditions, close to front line. They take care of people, they take care of elderly, those who cannot move around, bringing humanitarian medical supplies. They take care of animals that oftentimes are in very bad condition, they have no food and so on. But I would like to give an example of bikes for children. And actually, the kids' bikes were not part of our campaign from the very beginning. But when we started, communicating, as you asked, what kind of bikes you need, those that a usual person can bike around the city. And then some of our ambassadors asked, do you need children bikes? Because people are asking us in their garages. Sometimes, the children grow up, but the bikes are still there. They don't need them anymore. And then we thought that, oh, why not? And it's very vivid in my memory. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. This girl, I think in the age of 10, that stands in front of her house that is completely destroyed. The family could hide in a basement, and she got these children bikes. And despite of the conditions that, their life of the family, this girl is smiling because she got a bike. And a bike is I think it's an important part of children's happiness and generally the childhood. So those stories where we delivered bikes to orphanages, these kids who got these 3-wheel bikes or 2-wheel bikes, they smile and they enjoy. I think this speaks a lot. And to add, maybe generally to campaign, this support of logistics nowadays is our, let's say, short-term goal. But generally, our also long-term goal is to really get more people on the bikes in Ukraine. We know that rebuilding the infrastructure is a difficult thing, and it requires a lot of finances, a lot of resources, a lot of support. Therefore, we think that, with this campaign as well, with more people that enjoy bikes for everyday commuting, but also for physical and mental health and rehabilitation, what Marina mentioned with veterans. And also, just getting, if you ride the bike, you would agree with me that, when you get on the bike, your mood is better, your physical condition is better, you are more energetic, you are more optimistic. So along with those, let's say, rational things of using bikes as a transportation means, we also aim to add a little bit of kind of happiness for those who are using them, and in long term, strengthening the cycling agenda in the post-war recovery of Ukraine.
Would you say that the attitude towards bicycles and cyclers is slowly changing in Ukraine?
I can speak about feelings because we don't have data. But on the level of seeing, how more bikes are used, not only in the frontline communities, but also in the cities like mine, we see that there are, at my opinion, more and more people understanding and enjoying riding the bike. We are not in the times when, let me remember, Margaret Thatcher or somebody said, if you don't have a car, you are a loser. Anymore, this is not an axioma. Nowadays, in a family of 4 people, there are 4 bikes. Oftentimes, they are used for recreation, mostly, and our aim is to get them more like a transportation. But I may definitely say that the attitude toward bikes is changing, with more use for everyday commuting as well.
We see that the amount of cycling traffic has raised to 40% for 1 year. In the Ukrainian national transport strategy, the bicycle transport has determined one of transport that is in need of development. So it's about the attitude to the bicycle as a means of transport at the national level, I think.
Marina, I was kind of surprised when I looked at the page of your organization in Kyiv, and the main news item was about cycling network in the capital of Ukraine, that it has to get bigger. And from this article, I was like, oh, okay, the bombs are falling, but people in Kyiv still think about expanding the bike network.
Yes, still during the war, the cycling advocacy is alive, and I'm glad that it is, because it's about more comfortable and safer cities, not only for cyclists, but also for other people, because the cycling infrastructure is about access, and it's about better life conditions, but more people-friendly, frankly speaking, city. For example, last weekend, on Saturday and Sunday, we have 3 events on cycling advocacy. So yes, cycling advocacy and cycling community is alive in Ukraine, and especially in Kyiv.
In Uzhhorod, we also have, even these times, so-called bike rides. They are often thematic bike rides, to collect money to support either people in needs or our defenders on the front line. And as there is a very uniting spirit when this action happens, which also shows to municipality that the cycling community is rising, and we need more infrastructure for safe cycling. That's also one of the aims.
So thank you so much to both of you, Marina Bludsha and Lesya Loyko.
Thanks a lot.
I want to thank also, and I know that cycling community in Riga have helped to Ukrainians a lot already, because I have had the interview with one of the leaders of this cycling community in 2022, and I know that cycling activists delivered bikes to Ukrainian IDPs in Riga and maybe in other Latvian cities. And we thank for support of Ukraine in every different way.
Raidieraksts Drošinātājs.